Welcome to the Driving the World podcast series. I'm your host, Cully Holland. Today we have Jason Oakley from the Corporate Training Group back. We'll be talking about our ECDrive power rollers. Hey, Jason, great to see you today, man.
Thanks for having me back, Cully.
No problem at all. So today we're going to be chatting about our ECDrive power rollers. We have a couple sitting in front of us. And I guess one of the first things that would come to mind talking about these things is how do we figure out the size? Are they all one size? Kind of how does the sizing work? Because I imagine there's a lot of different applications.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, every customer is going to have a special size that they want. So we take a one simple measurement. We call it a between frame measurement. And then we'll actually cut down the rollers to whatever that length is. So the customer just tells us what they need. And in the construction of the rollers, they cut down the size to exactly that specification.
All right. So that is simple enough. And it seems like it'd be easier enough for our customers to use. And I'm looking at these two rollers and I see that this one has grooves and slots in it. This one does not. So I'm just wondering, are they different or is that a different way of how they get the power transfer?
Yep.
Kind of what's going on with that?
Yeah, there's a few different power transmission options we have. We have like the one we have here. We have a round belt or a groove. We also have option to not have any power transmission. I've seen sprocket, and I've also seen something called a V belt or a groove it's called a poly V belt that will go on it and it transfers the power that way.
Okay, so not all of them have to be powered. So is it like a powered idler setup, or how does it work if they're not all going to be powered at the same time?
Yeah, so you usually have to do some project planning beforehand, figure out what kind of weights you're moving, the size of the package, and based on that information, you'll figure out how many you need to be powered, how many can be idle, and like the driving roller will be attached to the idle rollers and move those packages.
Okay, so that's where the rounded belts, V belts, and I guess with a chain and sprocket system would come into
Correct.
play. And we're talking about powered, but I mean, I know SEW has a lot of electronics and a lot of different options, but it looks like we have a small controller here. Is this how we get all the power, or is there other setups to power these suckers?
Yep, so they're 24-volt powered, and we have two different options. You can use the Ethernet-based controller. And in this particular one, you can control two powered rollers on one single controller. But we also have another binary controller, which is not here with us today, and that's for one powered roller at a time.
Okay, so these are just running off of 24 volts. They don't need 230.
Correct.
They don't need any wall sockets. So that's
Nope.
going to be simple enough for our customers to get to them. And with controllers, it's making me think of, some of our VFDs. Is there any program capabilities, or are they kind of just go stop?
Yep. So the binary one is simple 24-volt control, tell to run, a couple different speeds, a few different inputs there. But this one that we have here in front of us, it comes pre-configured to run some different applications. One in particular is called ZPA, or zero pressure accumulation. And that just positions packages so they're not bumping into each other or crashing. In order to do that, you would have to have some sensors tied to the controller so that those sensors can kind of give some feedback to the controller. So that's built in. Another option you have, though, is to configure it in a way that an upper-level PLC controls everything, all the positioning and all the movement, speeds, etc.
So these are way more than just stop, go, dumb rollers. There is some functionality and programmability into these
Absolutely.
units, which is fantastic, especially with not bumping into each other. I can see how that would be useful. And one other thing I'm looking at, we have two orange rollers, and then we have what appears to be a stainless steel or a steel roller. Is that just different steps of production, or are they actually different coatings?
Different coatings for sure. So the stainless option for wash down applications, and then the orange one is a special coating that we have. There's a couple different other coatings, different rubber coatings, and that just changes the coefficient of friction. I know we also have just a standard steel roller, and we even have some tapered sleeves that will go on there, and you'd use a tapered sleeve roller like if you were going to go through a corner or turn and the conveyor needed to transition 90 degrees. So you could have a couple different options to put on there.
Okay, so it sounds like all of that would come into play with the project planning you spoke about
Absolutely.
earlier.
Yep.
Well, fantastic. And you mentioned packages or I guess boxes. Is that the scope of the application? So, like, what are these kind of designed for, and where would we see them out in the field
Yep.
with our customers?
Yeah, so it's going to be a little bit lighter product that they're moving, not quite as heavy as our gear motors. So it fits in the lower power range, but a lot of packages that are, maybe that you get from ordering online, a single package, and you are needing to get those from wherever. These are a great application or a great tool to use in those applications, single conveyors, stuff like that, lightweight.
Lightweight conveyor belt applications with manageable size packaging, it sounds like. Well, these definitely sound like nifty little units that SEW has been offering for a few years. Is there anything else you'd like to add, or does that about wrap it up for our ECDrive
Yeah,
power rollers?
for a basic introduction, I think that's about it.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much for chatting with us today.
Thank you.